I retired a number of years ago, and I was able to turn around and go and start trying to. This last year, the last 12 months, I decided that I would start trying to do various different outdoor activities. So golf was one of them. I started doing clay pigeon shooting, fishing and whatnot. But what really happened is that the downtime that I spent prior to doing these activities meant that actually I think I had a better result on my back. And actually, with lack of exercise, I think it really did cause my spine a lot of problems. Subsequently, travelling to any of these different locations to do these things meant that I was in the car for an hour and a half, and I actually thought that my car would have been really quite comfortable, but you know, they're quite hardly sprung, you know, and this constant, the roads here in the UK, they're quite bad, and it was ricocheting through my spine, and I was getting to a point where, you know, if I was in the car for anything over like half an hour or so, you were actually finding I was having a significant effect on not only the base of my spine, but also going down through my legs. So, you know, it came to a point where actually there were one occasion actually that I couldn't even drive for 2 weeks. It was that bad. Getting up and moving around certainly does help, and I think what we've learned from speaking to Gavin, for instance, it's allowed us to be able to see that exercise is probably the main key, especially as you start getting a bit older. But what also Gavin's indicated is that these particular machines are like an exercise for your spine. And actually I keep on thinking to myself, is this not something that I want to continue to do pretty much for the rest of my life? I'm not saying that we need to go 2 times a week to do it, but I certainly think maybe once a week, once every couple of... You know, so I'm actually quite excited. I always remember the first particular time that I left here after the first course. I think it was 26 minutes on the machine. I walked out into the street outside to go towards my car, and actually I could have cried. Because I felt, I have to say, I was like 15 years of age again.
Mate, you never cry. Oh yeah.
Honestly, I actually was shocked. I was really shocked. Because I never thought that, you know, I'm 52 years of age now, and, you know, feeling like having that spring in your step again, and that was only after one course of action. Here I am into it now for 8 courses. I'm back playing golf again, which I think's, I can't believe it. The swing and everything's back again. It's just been an amazing turnaround. But it has its downsides as well, because when you retire and if you don't have a focus on anything and you stop moving, you stop exercising, and it has a knock-on effect. And I think it's something that, you know, maybe a lot of people don't realise. You know, you need to keep mobility. You have to keep on going. You need to have a purpose to go and do something for your good. Because otherwise, you know, what we're going to end up doing, sitting around for the rest of our days and feeling wrong. I was sitting on the couch, you know, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon through to 10 o'clock at night before going to bed, because it was like, what did I do?
So what were you thinking? Were you hesitant?
Not so much after speaking to Gavin, because I felt like Gavin had a wealth of information, you know, or knowledge over it. I think that throughout your life you'll meet different people who, you know, some people will tell you a story, and whether you believe it or not, it's another matter, but Gavin gave me the confidence, and really, you know, it's resulted in the way I feel now, and actually I thank him for it, and I will make a point of doing something special for Gavin, to be fair, because it really has. I'm going to say this, it's changed my life again, it really has.
I think about it.
Well, I was still in the same boat, and it was something that, you know, I had an MRI scan back in 2024 that indicated that there were 2 discs that weren't, you know, I wouldn't know the terminology, it's not my field, but there were an issue with 2 discs, but there were no trapped nerve itself, but it was certainly shown that the discs had a problem. And, you know, we went through a period of time there, but I was very fortunate that whatever I managed to do in my life, I'd managed to overcome that for a period of time. But then, back in at the tail end of 2025, it reoccurred again. We had a major problem. I always remember on Christmas Day trying to make the Christmas dinner, and I couldn't actually couldn't reach down to take anything out of an oven that was a low level oven. It was the worst day, I'll never forget it. And it was only after that I decided that I needed to go and do something. And it was actually through a recommendation of a friend of mine that I actually came here. And I just can't believe the difference. You know, so you know, we had an MRI scan taken of Gavin and explained to them that the only way that the actual hospital had said to me that the only way to move forward was actually to take up yoga. They wouldn't recommend doing any surgical work because it wasn't bad, but it seemed pretty bad to me, you know, and you know, it was getting to a point where I was struggling, you know, to sit for any. For me, it was all about more sitting than what it was. Actually, I felt better if I was up walking around. But, you know, explaining that to Gavin and realising that the only way forward for me was actually to either go and do yoga or, you know, work through this recommendation through a friend of mine. And actually, it worked out. So, you know, I'm very, very pleased for his recommendation as well, because it wouldn't be weird.
You don't care about your spine until you hurt it, and then all of a sudden it's the only thing you care about.
That's right.
And all you want to do is get back to how you were.
Absolutely.
And I go, you're now a student for life.
Yeah.
It's fine because you've seen the other side.
But I still believe, though, to top up, you know, it's still worthwhile doing it. As I say, even if it's only maybe once or twice a month, I still think it's made such a difference to me that I don't understand why you wouldn't do it.
I think see, maintenance to me is I go, we do one a fortnight, one a month, and I go, we do it only because we don't want to end up back where we were. So
That's
why
right.
wouldn't we do more of the things got us out of the
Absolutely. I used to not have a problem when you were younger, you know, it was never an issue, but you know, nowadays it was a big difference, you know, but now I've been out in them in the last few weeks now again, which it's been really great. As a matter of fact, I was out only 2 days ago. I have a 911 Turbo S, and I was out and again, and I thought, wow, this is...
So you're so sprightly now. Have you always been sprightly?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been quite a happy-go-lucky. Yeah. I'm a glass half full person. I always try to look at the positives in life, you know, and I don't like things to get me down. Unfortunately, this did get me down for a bit, but
yeah,
you know, I'm back to where I was again.
How long were you down for? Did you feel? I know when
I was down for months and months.
And you felt like you were fading, like who you were.
Oh, well, I think for me, more than anything else, there was a bit of frustration because I was always quite an active individual, and I think, you know, psychologically you go through a lot when you retire as well, because you don't have the network of people, you know, your work colleagues that essentially become friends. Yeah. And you know, so it adjusts your life, and you kind of have to figure your way through that. And when something happens to your mobility as well, I think that also starts to pull on you. You know, so when you get the mobility back and you start turning around and, you know, start to get out and about, you start meeting more people again, your life just in general becomes better. You know, so yeah. Really good.